What are some of the biggest challenges that you've came across through your career, and how'd you overcome it?
Not to take everything personally.
Your social media especially comes across as fun and genuine.
I do believe that social media has helped with our brand.
I've been around long enough to know that there's roles expected of females that, right or wrong, they're there. So if you choose to be a provider, nobody gets rid of the idea that you have to be the best mother in the process. Folks, thank you so much for being a part of yet another first. Real Producers of South Central PA has had its first edition back in August of 23. And our very first cover agent, Joy Daniels, was a fantastic cover for us. And today she's going to help us launch our very first podcast, Real Producers of South Central PA podcast. So welcome. So I want to welcome the audience to everyone that we have here. First off, you need a first great supporter as well. And Melanie Caputo with White Rose Settlement was one of those, her and Shauna. So thank you so much. Melanie's going to be co-hosting with us today.
Absolutely. Happy to be here.
Fantastic. And Joy, in so many different ways, Joy, you've had so many firsts in our industry, and so we're so blessed for that. And thank you again for investing your time with your peers and with the real estate community as a whole to go ahead and share some insights today. And hopefully we're going to have some fun too.
All right, I'm ready.
Fantastic. So speaking of fun, let's just dive right into it. We did some prep work, and your response to this question was amazing. So I can't wait to for everyone to hear this story. But what was the most memorable, fun story you experienced in real estate?
I was on vacation in Mexico, and my assistant sent me every day just questions and emails and different things about what was going on at work. Trust me, when you're a real estate agent and you're on vacation, you do not take a vacation. Not 100% anyway. Mm-hmm. And I was looking at the email that she sent me, excuse me, and it was a picture of one of the listings that I had with police tape around the yard, which included my real estate sign. That was quite a shock. As it turned out, I had a seller who was referred to me by a real estate attorney, and I was working with this gentleman to sell his home. And on occasion, I would get phone calls from neighbors because he enjoyed sunbathing nude in the front yard. And
Lovely.
Apparently, he's done this over the years, and they had called the police and done different things, and nobody ever did anything. Now that my sign was in the yard, hey, who else to call? They would call me. So I got several reports. There really wasn't a whole lot I could do. I asked him please not to do it while his house was on the market. But, you can only do so much.
Wow.
But what happened with the police tape around his house was after his home inspection was done, he decided that he was going to use a friend to help him make the repairs. And he was partying like he tended to do quite a bit. And this friend came over, knocked on his door, tried to open his sliding glass door. He heard somebody at his door. It panicked him, and he shot through the door.
Oh, my.
And it shot him in the shoulder. Thank goodness it didn't kill him or do anything to him. But obviously that brought the police. They found him. They found his drugs and a lot of other different things. And thus the police tape. And he ended up closing on his home while he was in prison.
Wow.
I've done those signings in prison before. Not for the same, naked get arrested thing, but,
Oh, my gosh. You mean you can settle houses in prison?
You actually can, yeah.
Yes,
yeah.
absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Wow,
absolutely.
That's a first for me. Wow, that's amazing. My gosh.
Been there, done that.
I know it's not
Again, no nakedness, though.
Yeah, it's true. It's
That
true.
wasn't why he was arrested.
Yes, true. I guess naked is okay. Shooting someone, not so much.
Shooting is not such a good idea.
I'm pretty sure if I bathed naked in my backyard, I might push the law there. They might want to try me there. God bless. Boy, that is wildly entertaining. Woo, okay.
So that was a story I will never forget.
Yeah.
And neither will I after this. Absolutely.
Well, that one stands out.
So we prepped a few other questions for you as well.
Yeah. So let's see. We can move into what's the best or worst advice you've ever received early in your career?
When I started in real estate, I started with RE/MAX Realty Professionals, and I was a newbie. And there was a woman there named Bonnie Henderson, and she kind of tucked me under her wing and kind of guided me along. And she was very gracious.
Yeah.
And she took time to share with me her database and how she worked with keeping things organized in her life.
That's
and,
key.
And I needed to be organized.
Yes.
And so the database that she told me about was Top Producer, and it is still around. And I'm sure there are other software programs out there that maybe are better or agents like to use more. But I started with Top Producer, and I have used it. And I'm not kidding you when I say this. Every day, my entire life. I have been in real estate now 36 years.
Wow.
So using Top Producer pretty much every single day still.
I'm shopping around CRMs, so I'm looking for a new one. Maybe maybe it works for
So
title
I would
too.
say that was my best advice.
Yeah.
Was
Top
Bonnie
Producer.
giving me that advice to use Top Producer.
That's fantastic. I got to tell you, the whole CRM world, no one could ever envision back then what that would be today.
Never.
Yeah.
I mean, my God, when I started in real estate, we didn't even have cell phones or computers.
Right. Yep.
Okay, so
Handwritten
this
HUDs.
was very, very interesting.
You said 36 years.
Yeah.
I didn't know they gave licenses out to 10-year-olds. 10-year-olds.
Ah.
That's cute.
Charmer.
Yeah, he's a charmer.
Yes, yeah. So, well, what sparked your interest in real estate? Starting over. What sparked your interest in real estate, and how'd you get started?
My husband was a partner in the development of Windmere. Okay. And he also had a building company. And so that's what sparked my interest. He would say, you know what, Joy, I'm selling these homes. And he said, you might want to consider getting into real estate because then I could work with you in selling my homes. And so that's what got me started.
And you worked with your husband?
Actually, as it ended up, by the time I got my real estate license, no.
There you go.
I did not. I ended up working for Remax, which was the company that represented him in the development of Windmere. And I think I probably did maybe sell one or two of his homes.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, my sons both live in Windmere. Both of my sons live in Windmere.
Oh.
And the next door neighbor to them, I sold them their house.
Oh.
So, I mean, we're talking 35 years ago.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's been a long time. They need to sell their home.
Now, if I'm correct, you work with your husband now, though.
Yes, he got into real estate. I bit my tongue and I let him join me.
Oh, wow. I'll tell you what, it's hard to find somebody that you can live with and work with. I don't know about that for me. I would go hard pass, but
I got my wife got licensed, and then we decided to stay married.
yeah.
So in that aspect, matter of fact, our February issue, we do highlight a couple real estate couples in honor of Valentine's Day.
Oh.
What's it like to be married? So that's a different discussion altogether. But wow,
Yeah.
We actually do different things in the real estate business. He's brilliant, and he handles the budgeting and the financing and that kind of thing. And I handle buyers and sellers and that kind of thing.
gotcha.
Yeah.
I don't mind giving a shout out to Chris. I do know Chris, her husband, and the guy's spot on. If you ever get a chance to meet or talk or work with Chris Daniels, a very brilliant man as well. So good,
That's
good.
good.
And I'm glad to see it. And you do, in my experience, you guys have always worked very well together. From what I can
We
see.
do. We work very well together.
So
I think
let
it's
me-
always interesting to figure out how people got in this industry. Because being in this industry, we all know it takes a special kind of person on your side of things, on my side, the lending side, so it's not really made for everyone. So I always find it interesting what sparked that,
Yeah, it's one thing to be in the industry; it's another to stay. So 36 is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
So tying into that CRM, though, I'm going to take you back to why you got into it and the CRM. It's one thing to have a CRM; it's another to use it. So just your daily routines as a whole. How do you go about your daily routines, and how much is that CRM built into it?
That is exactly right. What I learned to do was get to know my clients. That's really important. It's important to ask questions. If you don't ask questions about your client, you're not going to have any idea, what is best for them or how you can help them. But when you're first getting started and you're talking to somebody, it's more important to learn, do you have a dog? Do you have a cat? Do you have children? What do they do? What sports do they like? I mean, you've just got to ask some really basic questions and make notes. And that was the biggest thing I used my program for, is to make notes about their lives, so that when I wanted to call back and follow up, because I hadn't heard from them, and I'm wondering, wonder why they didn't call me. I can say, oh, you know what? You mentioned that your son plays baseball. Has he had any success, or something about whatever they're doing? I follow them, and now I did. Back then I didn't, because it wasn't, Facebook wasn't such a thing. Oh my gosh, you forget about that. But anyway, that's how I started out, just making notes about when I would have phone conversations with my clients. I would put the notes in so that when I would call them back, I would be able to say something that maybe they mentioned to me. Maybe they'd mention where they're going on vacation, or they would mention, oh, their daughter's getting married, or whatever. I would just put those notes down, because notes are key.
Well, keeping present in their mind is important, because most of the business you're going to end up getting is either word of mouth or repeat business,
That's right.
So if you don't foster those relationships, they're going to go by the wayside. And then, well, somebody who sold my house, gosh, I don't remember her name. She was really nice. You want them to remember you so they come back,
I would imagine in your world, it's even harder to remember who the title agent was. Right?
So
having
exactly,
the agent
because we
remind them
only
of
see
that,
them
right?
once. Yeah.
Yeah, you only see them one of the
Yeah. Generally, they see us at the table and they remember, usually, I mean, if you ever took a study skills course or anything like that, you remember the beginning, the middle, and the end, those are the things that you remember the most. So you're with them and holding their hand the whole time. And, we're a computer screen at this point. So until we get to the settlement table, so you better make it memorable.
So in interviewing the agents for the magazine, I hear a number of there's a constant theme that Joy just talked about here, but you have a uniqueness to yours that I want to pull out a bit. And that constant theme is, none of us can hit the top 10% of all real estate agents unless you have strong relationships with people, period. End of story. Now, when you're doing it 36 years, what's the key to keeping strong relationships for such a longer time period?
Follow up is key. However, I always go back to my notes. So before I have a conversation with that client, I'm looking at my notes, I'm remembering things. So, I mean, I think you might have said, even if you mention the name of their dog, that is so important. But how are you going to remember the name of their dog unless you write it down?
Yes.
You've got to write it down. But I try to educate my sellers so they're not surprised about anything. Surprised clients are not happy clients. Okay? It's like disappointed buyers are not happy buyers. So you've got to keep all of these things in mind. I think I'm a good problem solver. Real estate transactions are not perfect. There's always going to be something that comes up. And so I think my clients appreciate that. I'm good at working through those problems, and I'm good at helping them come up with solutions. I think that, well, expectations of sellers are high. And, I strive to keep those expectations.
Gotcha. So one thing you didn't mention there, but I know you've done, at least with me, so hats off to you. In the world of social media, a lot of times I'll get a comment or an update. I know she saw something on Facebook because she referenced it, and that was a great way for you to stay in touch with me. I'm horrible at notes. I feel like I'm with Joy. I feel like I have to confess I'm horrible with notes, and I need to get better in that aspect of it. Social media a few times have bailed me out that way, but hats off. I know I've lived firsthand, and it meant something to me when you did that. When we talked and you referenced something on my social media that let me know that you were paying attention. So that meant a lot to me.
Well, thank you.
So now we're in a funky market at the moment. And I'm going to switch this conversation real quick to the market, because we had this fire from COVID, right? And that kind of felt really good 22, but 23 and 24. Matter of fact, one of the stats that stick out to me, we went from 24 days on market to 31 days on market in that time period. And we went from 11% of homes not selling to 18%. You've been around enough to know market changes and we hit these dips. How do you stay on top of that aspect of it and helping guide your clients?
Well, you definitely need to be aware of the market when you're a real estate agent.
Mhm.
And so the local real estate market.
That's
Mhm.
good.
That's
That's
key.
very key.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
I honestly don't have a clue what's happening in any other real estate market.
Mhm.
That's a
It
good
varies.
That's a good thing.
Mhm.
Yes,
That's a-
yes. But I do know my local market. I do keep in mind what buyers are looking for, what sellers are looking for, because it changes. Oh my God. You remember when mauve carpet was the hit?
Mhm.
Okay.
Mhm.
And cherry cabinets and hardwood floors, and then carpet became popular. And now hardwood floors are popular again. I
Yeah.
don't think mauve carpets are popular again at this
No,
moment, but
no,
white
still
finishes
out.
are popular.
Mhm.
I mean, things come and go. So you have to keep up with what is popular so that you can help your clients make the best decisions, whether it's new construction, whether it's a resale home,
Mhm.
things like that.
And getting to know them, I imagine, is key in that, and asking those questions. That's why it's so important with what you do, to get to know them really, really well. You know.
Yeah, you're spot and make it relevant to them. I'm going to go off on a tangent for a moment because it's fresh in my mind.
Mhm.
I have two high school students, 15 and 17. I never
God help you.
thought we would have Starsky and Hutch haircuts again. This passes from the
Right.
70s blows my
Yep.
mind.
Yep. Yep.
Oh my gosh. Anyway, full cycle.
Yeah.
Everything comes in cycles. That's
Yes.
exactly
You
right.
got it.
It
You
sure
got it.
does. It sure does. Well, can you tell me then, going a little bit backwards? So obviously you use social media and stuff like that to gather information on clients, but how do you use that as a competitive tool, technology and social media? How do you use that to stand out?
Well, I think social media helps people stand out
Mm-hmm.
because you can take advantage of things like podcasts and videos and things like that, which I do. I try to do some type of video on Instagram or Facebook, some reel, the
Reels.
reels.
Yes. Yes.
And I do believe that social media has helped with our brand.
Yeah.
And so that's really important with Joy Daniels Real Estate Group.
Mm-hmm.
Technology is key. I mean,
Joy, I'm going to stop you right there because technology is key. We get that. It's 100%. But yet your social media especially comes across as fun and genuine. And it blows my mind of how much content you're able to put out there. So I'm just curious as how you actually do that. Make it fun, make it real, and get the amount of content out there.
I think it helps that I do love real estate. Obviously, if I've been doing this for 36 years, I love what I do. And when you love what you do, then it can become fun. And it's part of my life. And so it's something that I enjoy doing. I know that I, ugh, I'm
You could-
stuttering and stumbling. You guys aren't going to get all this, right?
Yep.
I'm so sorry.
No, there's no that was even if you stop there, that was
Mhm.
perfect.
Okay.
It's absolutely perfect.
I was going to say something about Heidi.
Yep,
Just
go
gonna
for it.
say.
Yep. So go ahead.
My assistant Heidi has helped me with putting these productions together, and she gives me ideas for content and things like that. When you're in real estate, I've sold hundreds and hundreds of houses, so I don't want people to think I know everything about everything, but I do know a lot. And so I can share that information with them, and social media makes it easy. It makes that ability to be able to get out information to the public so that they can learn and they can know. Because while I may have sold hundreds and hundreds of houses, this is the biggest investment of anybody's life is usually their home, when they're going to sell or when they're going to buy. And so I think social media can help me help them understand the process.
Wow. It's amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Absolutely. Are there any specific? I'm going to take a little twist talk into a different conversation here. And are there any specific mentors? I know you had mentioned Bonnie before, but any mentors, role models that helped mold you into who you are today?
Well, again, yes, Bonnie Henderson was one, but Bob Hamilton, who is the broker of that office, is an amazing man, and he was also an amazing mentor to me. And then when I ended up opening up Joy Daniels Real Estate Group, I realized that Vi Thompson was right across the street. And I don't know if you guys know her, but she was a broker and she was a woman. And there were not a lot of women brokers. And so she was influential to me.
Ah, absolutely. Women-owned businesses.
Yes. And she was very open to having me come over and talk with her. And she was very gracious in sharing information with me.
Right. Right. Well, it's all about community, even with our competition, we are competition, yet we all still work together at the end of the day. And associations like, GAR, RAC,
Yep.
sorry. Is it GAR or GHAR?
Sure.
Everyone
You
says
know
it
what?
differently.
It's
And they
either one. It's like
Yeah.
Kleenex or
We'll know.
there you go.
tissues, or I don't know.
Yeah, 'cause
Caramel.
Caramel,
yeah, right?
caramel. That's
got-
better than
I guess
tissues,
because
yeah.
there are some people that are like it's GAR, that it's GHAR. Okay,
Okay.
but either way, but associations like that, it's key to build those relationships with your peers. You're going to be working with them. You're going to be negotiating contracts and whatnot. So building those relationships and keeping up to date on all
We
all
have
things
to surround
education,
ourselves by a village.
Mhm.
Okay, we need to be surrounded by people. We
Mhm.
all need people, and it's those other people that are in our lives that will help us with growing.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's very true.
Mhm.
That's very true.
Yes.
In fact, I'm going to talk a little bit of that later on, but that is
Okay.
very true. That's spot on.
So, what are some of the biggest challenges that you've came across through your career, and how'd you overcome it?
The biggest challenge, the first biggest challenge, I should say, was not to take everything personally. And that's hard.
Mm-hmm.
I mentioned that probably my first 3 years of real estate, I might have cried every night because I took everything personally. Anything that went wrong was my fault. And I was devastated. And it actually took me years to recognize that it wasn't my fault when there was a problem, that issues were in real estate and
Part of the industry.
and they just needed to be solved. And I realized that it wasn't my problem, my fault, I should say, but I could help solve that problem. And so I started to recognize, and I didn't take things personally, but it took me a while. So if there was any advice that I could give to a new real estate agent, it would be try not to take it personally. In my mind, that's almost impossible. But you know what they say: if somebody gives you good advice, try to take it. So that would be my advice to a new agent.
Yeah.
But then after that, I would have to say I got into it, and I was it was such a big part of my life. It was all I did. I ate, slept, drank real estate, pretty much.
Absolutely.
And then it was time management. And it was that was my next problem that I had to hurdle over. I had to learn, okay, my family and my work, and I had to come up with something that would make that work. Bring a balance.
Yeah.
Work-life balance. I mean,
absolutely.
you hear that all the time. Work-life balance. It's hard when you're in real estate because 24/7 people can call you.
Yep.
And now people can text you, they can call you, they can email you, they can message you. Oh my God. There's so many ways that people can get
days, weekends,
okay,
nights.
Where did that message go? You have to remember all of that. And it kind of gets crazy. So you need to learn, okay, I'm not going to work past 8 o'clock or whatever time you set.
Your boundaries.
I'm shutting my phone off. I shut my phone off and I put it in my office and I shut my office door. And I do that. And I've had to learn to do that. And I do not take my phone to bed with me.
That's a hard one. Yeah.
And when I get up in the morning, I do some devotions and some meditation and things like that before I even go pick up my phone and check those messages.
That's a wonderful practice.
Eventually I figured out how to balance my home life and my work life.
It took me a long time
but
myself.
I would have to say that was my second biggest issue.
Yeah. Work life work-life balance when in our industry, because you're right, it's 24/7. I mean, yes, we're a title company. Our office closes at 5, but I'm available. You guys write contracts over the weekend. You know, there are questions that come up that you need answered in order to write an agreement of sale, Hi. There's my phone, but
Mm-hmm.
making the choice of, right now is family time versus I will get back to them. I'll get back to them today because I care about what you're doing, but taking that time to take care of your family. So you did this while raising kids. And while I have children of different ages, they're in school. So, that makes it a lot easier. But I think I heard you say something about you homeschooled your children while doing real estate?
I have 2 stepchildren, and so I did not homeschool my stepchildren.
Ah, okay.
They were a big part of my life, and
Mhm.
Jeff he works for us,
Mhm.
so we're very close. And
Right.
but we have a son, and I did homeschool him, and
Wow.
that reason for homeschooling
Uh-huh.
was because my son Jeff played golf professionally.
Really?
Yeah, he played professionally. He played golf down in Florida. His
Nice.
mom had a job and she couldn't leave it. My
Mhm.
husband had a job and he couldn't leave it. Hey, what's more flexible than real estate? Right?
Well, you can build your
so
own schedule. Yeah. Yep. Yep.
so
Hee hee.
I traveled with Jeff down in Florida
Uh-huh.
when he was doing some of his golf
Oh, wow.
Tournaments. Yeah.
tournaments.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mhm.
And my son was 4
Mhm.
and got to the point where I was like, okay, it's Jeff, it's time. Jared needs to go to school. And he's like, why? He already knows how to read and write. Why would you send him to school? I'm like, because I have to.
Yeah. It's
And then I
kind of the law.
realized
Yeah.
that you don't. A child does not have to go to school until they're 8.
Mhm.
I said, okay,
Really?
I can just keep doing this until he's 8. Once he's 8, he's going to school.
Huh.
But long story short, we ended up homeschooling, and he actually never went to school a day in his life
Wow.
till his senior year, and then he went to hack.
Ah.
Good hack education there.
There you
And
go.
he took math that I was not capable of teaching.
Ah,
There are
God.
limitations to that as well.
Got
There
you.
would be for me. I couldn't do it. Love my kids. I have a 28-year-old and a 10-year-old. Do the math, yes.
Yeah.
So there's no chance. I mean, I've been doing this 20 years. And as my career has gone on, I've had to find that work-life balance because, I mean, I've used to do settlements all over Maryland, getting home on New Year's after midnight, So,
Well, when I
you know,
homeschooled, that was a long time ago.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
My
yeah.
The year I got my real estate license, I found out I was pregnant. And
Mhm.
my husband and I did not think we were going to be able to have children.
Mhm.
And
Oh,
so
goodness.
I thought, the day I was going in to take my test, I thought, well, I guess I might as well take it.
Mhm. Yeah.
And I
Surprise.
passed. And,
Yeah.
and I thought, okay, well, we'll make this work.
Yeah.
And but
That's a good way to do
when
it.
I started homeschooling that long ago,
Mhm.
homeschooling was not cool. Trust me. I mean, my husband said to me, Joy, if somebody that I work with asks you where our son goes to school, your answer is going to be, we live in Lower Dolphin School District. He said, everybody will just assume.
Ah,
And he said, that's okay. I don't want you to tell him we homeschool. I'm like,
wow.
okay.
And now so many people do it.
And
Yeah.
now there's a lot of people and now there's all kinds of programs, cyber school and everything
Mhm.
else. So,
Yep.
now it's pretty cool. But
Mhm.
So you said it earlier, and I didn't want to touch it per se, but I am going to go there because this is editable. Well, first off, real quick, your son became an attorney?
yes.
Yeah. So just FYI, to me, that's a nice cap on that. Homeschooled,
Mhm.
and that education took him all the way
He
to
was
law school.
printed in the law review.
Oh, there you go. I love
Very
it.
nice. Very
Congratulations
nice.
there. And
Proud
then,
mama.
and then the second is you mentioned Vi, first female broker, and I got to tell you, as a male, sometimes I don't touch this subject at all, but I
Mhm.
do want to put this point blank. I've been around long enough to know that there's roles expected of females that, right or wrong, they're there. One
Mhm.
of them is being the best mother. The other is now I'm going to be the best provider in the situation that has. So if you choose to be a provider, nobody gets rid of the idea that you have to be the best mother in the process. So hats off to you both and every woman listening to this that find themselves in that spot. I've been blessed to interview a number of agents and hear that scenario. And I can tell you that as a male, I don't have that same expectation that you guys have, or I don't feel that same
Yeah.
that we as a society put on women. So hats off.
Well,
And
thank you.
Well, thank you. Yeah,
Thank you.
it
It,
is.
it was good. It worked good. I just had lots of books, and he was in the back seat reading books, and I did have people that helped. Again, it takes a village, not just for real estate, pretty much everything.
That's why I moved my mom here from California. I'm like, help me.
That's right.
Yeah.
My mother-in-law was a huge help.
Yeah, absolutely.
So let's bring this real quick back to clients, how we handle some clients sometimes. And I can tell you that if you ever had the client that you just had to walk away from, maybe another naked client, but did you have to have a client that you walked away from?
You know what? I am a big, I don't ever expect people to be any certain way. And I will give people chance over chance over chance. I mean, I don't give just a second chance. I'll give many, many chances if they need them. So I would have to say if there's a problem because somebody's expecting really high expectations from me, that I tend to just work through it with them. I educate them and I help them understand. And you can paint scenarios all kinds of different ways, Coach, and you know that. And so I'll paint the scenario in ways that I think will help them understand. And we usually work through it. I would say the only client that I would ever walk away from is somebody who's going to ask me to be unethical
Gotcha.
or do something illegal. Other than that, I don't think I haven't ever walked away. I've had clients that have been very difficult and I've threatened it. I've said to my husband, I'm just going to stop working with these people. Enough is enough. I can't believe they're asking me to do this. This is ridiculous. But I'll talk to them and I'll again, I'm a very patient person. Patience is also key in real estate.
Well, one thing that you said sparked that to me, and I think that's where a lot of agents, especially newer agents, they struggle, is setting realistic expectations.
Yes, if you don't set expectations for your clients, they don't know.
They
and
don't
then
know.
when something happens, they're shocked.
Yes,
And
exactly.
so, we talk to our listing agents in our office when we have listing meetings, and we say, okay, you need to let that listing agent know that, interest rates are up. There may be less showings. In our office, we have a policy where if you list a home, you're not going to represent the buyer. We don't like to do that type of dual agencies, more of a designated agency thing we do in our office. But when you list a home, I can promise you that seller expects you to show their home. And so we need to give them expectations so they understand what our process is. Because you don't want people to be disappointed.
No.
And if you don't give expectations, they will be.
Yeah, because then something inevitably in this industry will happen that they're not expecting. And that surprise is enough to just knock some people over, you know.
So let me go a little bit of a tangent here, but it's very much related to that. So you're talking about that in relation to the agent setting the expectations to the client.
Yes.
We as the top agent community needs to set that expectations with each other and protect each other.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
What I mean by that is how often is it easier when your client is on one end? Why don't I have a response? I don't have a response, and we're throwing the other agent under the bus. But boy, they should have responded by now,
Right.
etc. I think our default needs to be, I'm sure that other agent is getting back to you as quickly as they can with their client.
Great.
And if we part of
That is exactly right. Because we're going to work with that agent again.
Mm-hmm.
We may not work with that client again.
Yep.
So we need to keep our relationship with agents just very smooth.
And that's part of the reason why this whole community exists, why Real Producers exist. So at least the top can get that relationship feel comfortable setting those expectations on behalf of the other agent for their own client, because we'll all eat more when everybody feels
That's
treated and
exactly
respected.
right.
Right.
And that definitely applies to partners.
Yes. 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 It does.
Yes. It does.
I'll be honest with you. The game of pointing this way, pointing that way. No. I'm a firm believer. Everyone makes mistakes. I mean, every single person does. Own it. Take responsibility for it. I've actually taken responsibility for mistakes that weren't mine because I'm trying to help a client out. There's a limit there, though. But it's important, to have each other's backs. And if you make a mistake, they'll understand. You can curve that to where you may not look as much of an idiot, but but that way you're not disparaging the people that you're working with, because how hard are they going to want to bend over backwards for you when you're insulting them behind their back to your mutual clients? Never a good idea. So always build each other up, not break each other down.
So we're glad.
I'm sorry, just something I thought, it's so funny you think about these different things when, and I said, you got to build expectations, and you got to, inform your clients on what they can expect, not just verbally. Take advantage of email, do it verbally, but then back it up with an email. Follow up with an email.
Oh, absolutely.
So following up with email is really important. Not that I hope this ever happens to anybody, but if the commission comes in and audits you for anything, they're going to need copies of all of those emails. And if you have them,
Yep.
there you go.
Makes life a lot easier.
Makes life a lot easier.
We actually added a program that when we make sure that the file numbers in every single email, and it automatically gets put it in the file. It's the coolest thing ever. Yeah. So you can't forget.
We have something like that too.
Yeah. Isn't it wonderful?
Nice?
Love
Nice.
technology.
Yes.
Gotta love technology.
We're talking about technology. There's something else.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's
when
huge.
we're done, I'll ask you both, because I don't have that in my current environment. So that's
Yeah.
fantastic.
It's huge because
So-
you always have it.
We're gonna start to wrap this up a bit, but Mel, you got a couple questions. But in short, you gave us some great business insights so far. Love the humor and gist of experience and your perception of it. But let's get real for a moment and say, my God, how do we actually live this life, right? Yeah.
Yeah. How do we live this life? Well, the work-life balance is key, obviously, and having a good personality, being open to communicating with others, reaching out, getting to know, caring, we've seen each other so many times. I know people that work for you, Betsy Harbold. I adore her. She's wonderful,
She
by the
is
way.
wonderful.
Yay, Betsy, if you're watching this. But, building those relationships and keeping them going is key, and making sure your partner, yours was already kind of in the industry, mine is a land surveyor, so we cross paths, but land surveying. But when we first started dating, let me set these expectations for when I get home from a settlement in Anne Arundel and County in Maryland, after midnight, you understand why,
Well, yes, it's so important for new agents to understand the importance of that type of thing. But one of the things that new agents need, I always say to them, is stay educated. I mean, education is key, and GAR or GHAR or whatever
however you want to call it. Yep.
has wonderful class opportunities for agents, and they can take classes and continue there. Of course, you got to do your continuing ed. What is that? Every 2 years, you got to do your continuing ed hours. But even other than that, there are some just good real estate classes that you can take, or you can go to seminars, or you can do some different things. Education is important because if you want to be a good real estate agent, you need to know and you need to understand. And you need to read that agreement of sale over and over and over again so that you can pinpoint exactly what you need, where you need to go if there is a problem. Because all you have to do is it's there, it's in the contract.
Right.
And you can read it and you'll know how to handle it. And you're going to be that professional. You need to be the professional that everybody's looking to. Again, your buyers and sellers maybe have only done this once or twice. So you need to be that professional. After a year or so, you will have done it a few more times. So you're going to be that professional and you're going to know how to best handle things if you've got that education behind you to back you up.
I agree with you 100%. Actually, I say this to my new clients, my seasoned agents, everything, education is key. Knowing you don't need to know everything in what I do. I mean, a lot of times you
No.
don't even know what I'm doing. You don't know there's a problem. It just magically fixes itself. That's how it's supposed to be. But knowing all sides, knowing the lender side, knowing the title side makes you a well-rounded agent. So I do all those classes. I do the new agent orientations, with RAYAC and GAR or GHAR. So don't offend anyone in how you pronounce it. I do the Maryland versus Pennsylvania lunch and learns because of the reciprocity between the states. There are so many PA agents getting their license down there. So I know both states incredibly well, and knowing your area is key. Knowing the difference between York County and Lancaster, or Dauphin and Lancaster. Who pays for deed prep? I mean,
Between the city of Harrisburg and the city of Camp Hill.
Right? Exactly.
Yeah.
Knowing that stuff and having good partners.
Well, I was just
that
going
will
to say,
educate
it's
you,
so important if you don't know the answer to know who to call to get that answer.
Exactly.
I don't know the answers to everything that's out there that goes wrong.
Right.
But I do know who to call when I don't know the answer.
Exactly. It's
I do know that I can get that answer. So I'll just say to my client, I don't know that, but that's a great question. Let me find that out for you and I'll get right back to you.
Yeah. Huge. Yeah.
Now, you said something, so many people have reciprocity. And Joy, I'm going to use this as a segue into your own things that you do for fun. I understand you spend a lot of time in Florida.
Yes, and I do have my broker's license in Florida.
I too am licensed in Florida. Yes.
Well, if I ever start my company down there, you can come and
there you go.
have a license hanging in my office.
Right there you go. Yeah, we'll get Shauna to, because she has a place down there too. So,
So I'm pretty sure you have a reason that you go to Florida, though, often more than just the brokerage idea.
Well, yes. I love water. I love the ocean. I love putting my toes in the sand. To me, that's just a peaceful place where I can just kind of unwind and just really focus on, what's important.
Yeah.
So, yep, we have a place in Longboat Key, Florida. We are so blessed.
Aww.
So I love it down there. And that is why I got my real estate license down there.
Love it.
There you go.
An amazing
life goals. I need to start working on that one.
Well, Joy, anything else that you want to add today? I want to wrap us up a bit from what I've heard, but anything else you want to add?
Well, I'm just going to say we're talking about life goals, and I don't know if either one of you have ever heard of Napoleon Hill, but Napoleon Hill is a man who is no longer living, but he has written some amazing books. And Think and Grow Rich is one of his books that is very popular. And but he wrote principles, and I think 17 principles. And we teach our agents these Napoleon Hill principles because we think that life principles are really important with keeping our agents top of mind for themselves personally, but also for their ability to be able to handle clients and problems and things like that. And so one of the things that he says is, fear and faith don't connect. Fear and faith don't connect. So fear is a bad thing. So I want new agents all agents need to remember to push fear away. And so if I could say that to anybody, I would want to give that advice. But the other thing that's big with Napoleon Hill is having goals and having plans. And that's why it made me think about that when you were talking about goals. And I would say to Chris, someday we're going to live at the beach. Someday we're going to have a house at the beach. Someday we're going to do that. Oh. And he would send me pictures. Chris is a big Napoleon Hill fan, and he talks to the agents in our office. And we, like I said, we have a Napoleon Hill coach that works with our agents regularly. But he would send me pictures of houses on the beach, and, just different things that would just keep my mind, thinking about my goals. And so as a real estate agent, you need to have some goals and plans and thoughts about, what you want to do and what you want to be, and make a plan. And Achieve, believe, and conceive. Or,
There you
I
go.
think I said
Achieve,
that
believe,
backwards.
That works.
Oh, yeah.
It is
Believe, conceive.
conceive, and achieve.
Yeah.
Love it.
Okay?
Love it.
I'll have to
Believe, conceive, and
have to look
achieve.
into that a little
Love
bit.
it.
Yeah.
I got to tell you, folks, as a whole, but we got some serious dimes dropped by Melanie and Joy today. Joy, fantastic. There's 3 that I want to highlight for as we wrap up here. The first is what we just said, Napoleon Hill. What is that? What is Think and Grow Rich? It was the primary book. He's had a couple other scenarios, and that's fantastic book. It was life changing for me, and James Spooner helped bring that to me as well.
Yes.
The second that you talked about was don't take things personal. We talked about in terms of a new agent getting that, but the reality of the fact is there are a number of top agents that still hold on to this deal happened, that deal happened, whatever, and then they necessarily let that drive the relationship with their peer in not so great ways. Folks, get over that. The reality of the fact is the sooner that you realize how rare air you are with each other being a top agent in South Central PA, the sooner you'll learn from each other, support one another, and take everyone to new heights. The last thing that you mentioned that I really want to pull out, you said it a couple times, but I think it's very important for people to bring this home. You said it takes a village, right? You have to be purposeful about
Yes.
who you put in your village.
You do have to be purposeful about who you put in your village. And like I said, there are important people, vendors in your life, lenders and appraisers and title and just all kinds of important people besides those top agents. If you're a new agent, you need to find a top agent that's out there that would be willing to work with you and help you. Like Bonnie Henderson. She was the top agent at Remax. I was a nobody. And she just didn't care. She thought, I'm going to help you. And she did.
So let me, I'm going to share my own story to illustrate that stuff, my own story with you.
Okay.
If that's all right. So,
all right.
And by the way, even though you said that in terms of a new agent, any agent looking to get to the next level needs to find an agent above them and work with them.
Yes, at any level. You're right. At any level.
But
Yes.
so my own story with Joy was I'm a big shot in my mind, rookie of the year, 07, 08. I come across her name and I admire her name only because of the price point she was working at the time. When I was at the time, her price point, her average price appeared to be way more than mine. Then I run a brokerage and now I'm competing with her because she launches her own brokerage and that aspect of it has wild success and I'm competing. I won't mind to tell you, it's kind of resentful. What's the term? Frenemy-ish? Meaning we were polite. She was always respectful when we spoke, but inside. So fast forward to the opportunity where I have to work with her. You know, and actually be a part of Joy Daniels' brokerage. I was part of her brokerage for a period of time. I can tell you that it was humbling. And if I didn't get over my own preconceived notions, I never would have learned the things I carried with me today. Your husband gave me that book from John Maxwell, 365 Daily Reader. I use that every day today, no matter how many years it is. And I've given probably maybe 60, 70 copies out of that to other people. So it has a ripple effect. Having been a part of that village. And then James Spooner, also being around him, access with that through the Napoleon Hill aspect of it, it was there, let alone the fact that you're helping me launch Real Producers and build this community. So I am very honored to say that you're a part of my village.
Yes, we shared an office, sort of.
You got
at least light switches from what I hear.
Yes. She did. You did.
I had a beautiful office, a beautiful big office. And Rich needed a room. And I was told he was coming, and I was losing half my office.
Oh, goodness.
And it just so happened that one of my light switches was in his office, and his light switch was in my office. We had some fun with that one.
God. To be fair, it was only a third of her office. And but anyway, Joy.
Okay, he's right. It was probably only. I exaggerated.
But Joy, Melanie, thank you so much for today, getting this first thing off the ground. For folks that be tuning in for more of South Central PA Real Producer Podcast, we're going to highlight partners. We're going to highlight agents. We're going to have, if there's some other external folks up, I might get James Spooner on here at some point too, all with the idea of advancing how close we are as a group, advancing our ability to advance the entire community and have the top 10% of real estate agents, real producers, really make a greater impact on all all of South Central PA. Thank you both.
You're
Thanks for
welcome.
having us.
Thank you.